Despite these breakthroughs, each year in San Antonio, around 360 people are diagnosed with HIV. In spite of the decline of new infections nationally and in Texas, to eliminate new cases of HIV by 2030, it is vital for us to know how to protect ourselves from HIV infection. We also need to recognize that stigma, isolation, and discrimination remain a reality for many people living with HIV. World AIDS Day is important because it reminds the public and government that HIV has not gone away. There is still a vital need to raise money, increase awareness, fight prejudice, and improve education.
Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. We begin by acknowledging the traditional territory upon which we gather this evening. For many thousands of years, the native people have sought to walk gently on this land. They offered assistance to the first European travelers to this territory and shared their knowledge for survival in what was sometimes a harsh and terrible climate. We seek a new relationship with the original peoples of this land, one based on honor and deep respect. And so we acknowledge first the land upon which we stand to begin this ceremony. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit.
We gather in remembrance. Where indicated in the program, all are invited to read. We are all part of one family, the human family.
Many vary in gender, sexuality, color, age, class, HIV status, immigration status, reproductive choices, political affiliation, and ability. We are members of a beautiful human family.
None of us can say to another, I have no need of you.
None of us can say to another, I will not care for you.
For we are connected like a muscle and bone. If one suffers, we all suffer. If one rejoices, we all rejoice.
Thanks be to the Creator who has made us one.
We are all part of one family, the human family.
As religious leaders in Bexar County, we commit ourselves anew to end isolation, end stigma, end HIV transmission. With this statement, together we must do more. From the Ecumenical Advocacy Alliance, we join religious leaders from many faiths from around the world. We believe our personal commitment and action can help provide important new momentum in the global response, overcoming stigma and discrimination, ensuring treatment and care, advocating for sufficient and sustainable resources to help all siblings in need. We are at a critical crossroads in our response to HIV. Economics and political crisis combined with AIDS fatigue have weakened the resolve of many governments and partners to strengthen and sustain efforts to prevent the spread of HIV, provide life-saving treatment, and support and care for the tens of millions of people living with HIV, not to mention the families and communities affected.
As a religious leader, I am convinced that my faith must be more visible and active to halt the spread of HIV and reverse this pandemic. For 3 decades now, HIV has continued to spread across all levels of our societies. Stigma and discrimination against people living with HIV continues to fuel ignorance, injustice, denial, and hate. At this critical point in the epidemic, I need to be clear in my words and actions, and stigma and discrimination towards people living with or affected by HIV is unacceptable. Fundamental to my faith is the respect of human dignity and the value of human life. Such respect and value is central to my response to HIV. Therefore, I commit to exercising stronger, more visible, more visual, more practical leadership in the response to the HIV pandemic, increasing commitment, deepening meaningful engagement with people living with HIV, and acting decisively to protect human rights within my faith community. Through collaboration among other religious leaders of different faiths, and by influencing local, national, regional, and global decision-making processes on HIV. Conscious to the specific needs of all those affected by HIV, this leadership means
to people living with HIV, I commit myself to work tirelessly to end all stigmatization, attitudes, and actions until people living with HIV are fully included in our religious communities and within our society, supporting concerted efforts and partnerships to provide support, including healthcare and education in ways that respect privacy and the dignity of all people, seeking to understand and respond to the specific needs and situations of different communities affected by HIV, to enable all people living with HIV to participate fully in society, providing spiritual support and resources to give hope and enable positive living, assuring people living with HIV that HIV cannot separate anyone from love, mercy, compassion, and forgiveness.
To children, I commit to recognizing your rights, including health, education, and support that will help you celebrate childhood and learn values and ethical practices for safer and healthier living.
To young people, I commit to listening to your needs, empowering you with the values and support to help protect you from violence and suppression, and from behaviors that create risk for yourselves and others, enabling and facilitating your leadership and participation.
To women and girls, I commit. Recognizing your special vulnerability and roles as caregivers and mothers, and working tirelessly to ensure you have the services you require for your protection, prevention, treatment, care, and support. Exercising respect and challenging any oppressive systems of power within my religious community and society which fuel violence and injustice. Providing space for your voice and leadership in our communities.
To men and boys, I commit to encouraging understanding of power that allows people to relate to one another with dignity and love. Supporting leadership and decision-making that addresses the root causes of HIV.
To my religious community, I commit to encouraging understanding of the power that allows people, doing all I can to break the barriers of silence and exclusion to fully and openly include people living with HIV and their families in our religious communities. I commit to leading by example and encouraging my religious community to deepen its engagement in the response to HIV, including advocating for prevention, treatment, care, and support for all.
To networks, organizations, and public institutions, I commit to fully supporting all efforts to extend services and support that will enable an HIV-free generation by the year 2030. Challenging and supporting governments to meet their moral duty to implement their promises on HIV in their priorities, practices, and financial support. Partnering with you to combine our experiences, approaches, and expertise to reach our common goal of halting the spread of HIV and reversing the pandemic.
We now give thanks for the lives of millions of people who have died of age-related conditions over the past few decades. We especially remember siblings who have died in our midst, our fathers and our mothers, our brothers and our sisters, sons and daughters, friends, colleagues, employees.
the work that remains to be done. We are here because compassion, caring, and the common good of all requires that we recognize them and take action to help those who are in such desperate need. We are here because each one of us can make a difference. World AIDS Day reminds us of those lives that were made shorter than they needed to be because of the virus. I ask each one to search your heart and speak the names of those who were in your human journey who are no longer here because of the virus. Speak their names into this prayerful atmosphere that they might be remembered, honored, and held dear. World AIDS Day calls us to stand together as a vibrant, united, strong, and healthy, diverse community. A community that includes many people of many faith traditions, people who are fearless and filled with determination and hope, because now is the time. Let's end it. On this World AIDS Day and every day, let us remember those lives lost to an epidemic that tore at our hearts, ravaged our communities, but could not steal our love for each other. We are held in the web of life that's often torn, but always healing, and that is our strength. Our precious life proceeds from love. Love is the ground on which we walk together. On this World AIDS Day, let us each do what we can so that this ongoing health crisis will not continue to grow in grief and sorrow, but will be met and over.
In 2018, people with HIV who get treatment early live as long as someone without HIV. In 2018, we know that we can't get HIV by sitting on toilets, or kissing someone with HIV, or hugging someone with HIV, or sharing utensils with someone with HIV. In fact, people who are successfully treated with HIV and whose viral levels in their blood drop to what we call undetectable cannot pass the virus to people they are having sex with, which means that if you're undetectable, you're untransmissible. You equals you, baby. This is not a theoretical future I'm talking about. This is not some distant hope. This is 2018, and we have all the tools to end the HIV epidemic now. 1 year ago, Judge Nelson Wolff and Mayor Ron Nirenberg stood on the steps of City Hall and pledged to end the HIV epidemic in San Antonio by 2030. They joined the international Fast Track Cities movement, and we were the first city in Texas to become a Fast Track City. And the judge were backed by the leadership of University Health System, the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, the Ryan White Administrative Agency, UT Health, and every single AIDS service organization in San Antonio. The Fast Track Cities initiative is supported by the End Stigma End HIV Alliance, which is a collaborative effort of people and advocates living with HIV and all of the organizations I just mentioned, many of whom have been fighting this fight for over 3 decades. I've been incredibly honored to stand alongside many people in this room as a part of this movement, and San Antonio is working together to end this epidemic. But we have some challenges. Texas has the highest percentage of uninsured people in the nation, meaning that many Texans, particularly people of color, lack access to care. Texas has the third highest number of new HIV cases diagnosed each year, behind only California and Florida. In Texas, rates of new HIV diagnoses for Latinos are twice as high as those for Anglos, and for African Americans, it is 6 times as high. In San Antonio, while many cities are seeing decreases in the number of HIV infections each year, as Councilwoman Sandoval noted already, our number of new diagnoses for the past few years has been the same, if not higher. When many cities have moved to routine opt-out testing for HIV in emergency rooms and in primary care offices, San Antonio lags behind. And in 2016, San Antonio was home to the largest cluster of rapid HIV transmission in the country, with the majority of those newly infected in the cluster being under 30. And perhaps most importantly, my friends and colleagues and patients living with HIV face stigma and even discrimination each day within our own community. But I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to recruit you. Because it's 2018 and we have the tools to stop this. Earlier this year, the End Stigma and HIV Alliance and Fast Track Cities Initiative hosted an evening where high school and college students told us what we need to do to get our message out to stop HIV in San Antonio's young people. And to quote them, the only epidemic HIV has is the lack of resources and education that lead to stigma. And this is the truth. We must work together to normalize HIV testing so that everyone knows their status. We need to make sure that people know that we have the tools to end the HIV epidemic. We have a pill that prevents HIV called PrEP. We have effective treatment that allows people living with HIV to live long and healthy lives. My patients are moms and dads and grandparents and great-grandparents. That same treatment prevents the spread of the virus to other members in our community, because someone who is on successful treatment is, right, you equals you. We have amazing community outreach workers like Sylvia de los Santos, who works for Beat AIDS, who worked with Michaela. These amazing people, she's right over there, help find people who are lost to care. And funding from Ryan White provides care for people who are uninsured, so no one should go without care. We have community members who've been fighting the HIV epidemic for 30 years, who've been joined by kids from high school on the Health Justice Council, who have new ideas of how to use social media to get the message out. And we have a mayor and a county judge and lots of leadership who are willing to stand up with us to join Fast Track Cities. If we can get to the Fast Track City goals of 90-90-90, that's 90% of people know their status, 90% of those are on treatment, and 90% of those are undetectable, we will end HIV in San Antonio. The Fast Track Cities movement started in Paris in 2014. And a century before that, President Theodore Roosevelt went to Paris and he delivered a speech called Citizens in a Republic, which reminds us what the pastor said at the beginning, that we are all connected. President Roosevelt said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at best knows in the end a triumph of high achievement, and who at worst knows that if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." But we will not fail. And though today I think of Michaela and I feel my failure to help her every time I'm in clinic. This is not the 90s. This is 2018, and I can best honor Michaela and remember her by working every day to make sure that women and men living with HIV know that they have hope. We must all work together to normalize HIV testing, spread the good news about PrEP, treatment, and U equals U. We have the tools to end the HIV epidemic right here in San Antonio and to stop stigma and discrimination in our community. Please join us in the arena. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. We are all part of one family. Somos parte de una familia. The music to this is in your program. We will sing it twice. You can sing with me the first time or wait till the second time, whatever you want to do. Somos parte de una familia. Si uno sufre, todos sufrimos. Si uno se alegra, todos alegramos. We are all part of one family. If one suffers, we all suffer. If one rejoices, we all rejoice. Somos parte de una familia. Si uno sufre, todos sufrimos. Si uno se alegra, todos alegramos. We are all part of one family. If one suffers, we all suffer. If one rejoices, we all rejoice.
HIV and AIDS cut across all boundaries. Parents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, children. Members of communities and congregations. Let us listen to our siblings' journey with HIV and then sing the response. Somos parte de una familia, in response to their testimonies. Angie's testimony. I've lived with 23 years with HIV. There are many times I've experienced stigma because of the disease. Or like when I'm around my grandmother, and I have to tell her I'm sick, but I can't say with what. Or with the people I hang out with, because they're afraid if they hang out with you or if you're wearing some shirt that says HIV that you are a sick person. My hope is for people to get more education. They need to learn they can't catch it from hugging on me or touching or loving me. They need to stop being so fearful and hateful.
Sing with me. Somos parte de una familia. We are all part of one family.
I have lived with HIV since 2007. For most of the part, I have been healthy, as Dr. said, took me services because of the fear of being associated with AIDS. My hope is to end stigma.
Sing with me. Somos parte de una familia. We are all part of one family.
This year marks 32 years of living with HIV. Today, I concentrate on just that, living. In 1986, I was diagnosed. The world was shrouded in fear, as was I. We are still scrambling to figure out how it was spread and how it was contracted. Stigma, I don't think that was coming about yet. It was more a real paralyzing fear just to tell someone I was positive. Everyone was in a state of panic. While things have certainly changed for the better, the actual stigma does remain. My hope is that with continued compassion and education, we will make others more aware of the actual facts, the risks, thereby squashing ignorant rumors. Here we are, embarking on 2019, our future. My hope is for a deeper compassion and knowledge and less fear and judgment. What keeps me going is my faith, my community, both my Catholic Church and my ACTS HIV ministry, as well as closer support network from my friends and family that have walked this journey along my side. I am living.
Somos parte de una familia. We are all part of one family.
Let us pray. Compassionate One, comfort our family members who live with HIV. Spread your quilt of mercy, love, and peace over all of us. Open our eyes to your image reflected in the faces of all our siblings. Open our ears to your truth echoing in our hearts. Give us the strength to weep with the grieving, to walk with the lonely, to stand with the depressed. May our love mirror your love for our siblings who live in fear, who live under stress, and who suffer rejection. Comforting, healing Spirit, grant us rest and peace to all live with HIV. Great Healer, help us to find a cure now and give us the courage to break down stigma and isolation, to build a world in which no one dies alone and where everyone lives, are accepted, wanted, and loved. Amen.
In this moment, we recognize our community resources, including medical professionals and community organizations who help us attain wellness and break isolation, stigma, and fear. In a moment, Dana's going to lead us into music. At this time, if you are a member or you are one of these individuals, we ask that you come forward, please. You can join on the stage as able or in the front, but Dana.
Okay. So you're supposed to walk up if you're on one of the teams that Kevin announced. And I'm inviting you to sing on the chorus of this song with me, Getting to Zero. I interviewed people working in these fields to write this song. The words are in your program, but please don't look at them. Just sing back to me what I sing to you. You are my echo on the chorus. Sing from the heart, don't sing like you're reading, okay? And then I'll sing the verses to you. I will start slowly. We're getting to zero. We're getting to zero. We're telling the story. We're telling the story of the progress we've made. We're getting to zero. We're getting to zero. With faith in the future. With faith in the future. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end of AIDS. Of the end of AIDS. Okay, now you all. Let's sing that chorus again and you keep echoing. We're getting to zero. We're getting to zero. By working together. By working together. We're telling the story. We're telling the story of the progress we've made. Of the progress we've made. We're getting to zero. With faith in the future. This is the beginning of the end of AIDS. And these are the people that are helping make that come true. We don't deserve this illness. We are guilty of no wrong. We need treatment, not punishment. That's been true all along. The shame that keeps it hidden helps the virus spread. We must take away the stigma to eliminate the threat. We must destroy the sickness, not the people who are sick. To trust the job to someone else just isn't worth the risk. For now we're all in danger, so the whole human race must join the struggle to confront this problem face to face. We're getting to zero. We're getting to zero. By working together. We're telling the story. Of the progress we've made. We're getting to zero. With faith in the future. This is the beginning of the end of AIDS. When every pregnant woman has the medicine she needs, not a single infant will be born with HIV, but millions still are dying with the orphans left behind. The responsibility for them is yours and it's mine. There's so much to do before we really claim success. Some of us are frightened, too afraid to get the test. We must believe with treatment we'll do more than just survive. We can keep our dreams and live out long, productive lives. We're getting to zero. By working together. We're telling the story of the progress we've made. We're getting to zero. With faith in the future. This is the beginning of the end of AIDS. This is the beginning of the end of AIDS. End of AIDS.
At this time, we'll have the lighting of candles and display of red ribbon. All of you are invited to read where it indicates in the program. Creator, the giver of light, we ask that you be with us as we light the candle. May this light remind us that we have all been touched by HIV/AIDS. May your light be a symbol of hope, for we all are connected like muscle and bone. May it be the light which encourages us and strengthens us to continue onward in working to end this crisis. O candle burning brightly, may your flames instill within us a living sense of the love and compassion that shines within us through the presence of the healing one. Amen. where indicated in the program, all are invited to read. All are invited to focus on the red ribbon, an internationally recognized symbol.
And we wear it as a sign of remembrance, solidarity, and hope.
The red ribbon is a sign of remembrance
Of all our siblings who have died of complications from AIDS.
The red ribbon is a sign that we stand in solidarity with all people living with HIV and AIDS.
We are connected like muscle and bone. When one suffers, we all suffer.
The red ribbon is a sign of hope. We wear it to show that we who live with HIV and AIDS, we will not be hidden, we will not be cast aside, and we will not be silenced. The red ribbon is a sign of action, so
let's end it!
All are invited to join in the mantra accompanied by body percussion.
The body percussion we are going to do has 4 levels. We begin low and we move high. And when you catch on to what I'm doing, do it with me. We're going to sound like a giant drum ensemble. Okay. Okay, we got some coordinated people here. Now let's add the words, so just echo me. And isolation. And isolation. And stigma. And HIV transmission. And HIV transmission. Now let's do it together. And if you stand up, it works better. Yes. And isolation. And stigma. And HIV transmission. And isolation. And stigma. And HIV transmission. One more time. And isolation. And stigma. And HIV transmission. Thank you. I think any group of people that can actually do that can probably end HIV. So good.